All right, you guys, like I said, you guys keep the questions coming. I'm going to keep knocking these Q&As out. I'll do it on a weekly basis as long as you guys keep sending in your questions. So let's get straight into this next one. Mr. Castro wants to know, in what ways are the Fed faction stronger than its counterparts? For starters, grade and experience. All the grade and experience is in the federal system. C's like Corny, Skip, Mad Dog, Tibbs, etc., are all in the federal system. This is a dying breed. They're from another era. And to keep it real, it's these types of brothers that not only made people fear and respect the NF, but they also possess a different kind of mentality. A mentality that the state is lacking. Like I said, I'm sure the state faction is more than capable of holding its own. There's some hitters out there as well, and I know who they are. But I function alongside all of them, and I'm just keeping it real. All the heavyweights are in the feds right now. Zabzuda wants to know, how does the Fed and state generals' leadership styles differ? It seems like the feds are more militant and the state is more relaxed. Can you give some examples along with your personal experience of dealing with these factions? Well, it's old school and new school. They just have different ways of doing business. Like you said, the federal branch is not only more militant, but they operate more under that kill now, ask questions later mentality. There's only a handful of those types of C's left in the state, and I could probably count them on two hands. The best example I could give is this. Some of the things that are happening, that are going on right now out there in the state, would never be happening under the former leadership, or if any of them were out there. Trust me, it would be different. But take my word for it. If I know what I'm talking about, it won't be allowed to go on for much longer. So Josiah Lomas wants to know, in regards to the Q&A, Boxer, are you an owner, operator? How hard is it to become an owner, operator? Some insight would be a hell of a help. He's talking about trucking. I'm just an operator, Josiah, but listen, it's not hard to become an owner of your own company. In fact, if you have the money to do it, I jump on it ASAP. With everything that's going on in the world right now, this is the best kind of investment you could probably get into. Everything's being transported through commercial trucking, and this is an industry that's going to stay competitive for years to come. It's not hard either. All you need to do is get the business licenses, the permits, a couple reliable drivers, and you're good to go. Seriously, brother, I've got a friend that started with one truck, saved his profits, and invested in the second truck, then a third, fourth, and now it's a multi-million-dollar company. People think they're not capable of doing it, so they don't pursue it. But I'm telling you, the only thing that prevents people from becoming self-made millionaires is pessimism. Zab Zuda wants to know, had any of the generals ever fought in the Corcoran gladiator fights? Cochran. He says Cochran. It's Corcoran. If so, do you have any stories about how they can throw it down? I guess I probably shouldn't be talking since I mispronounced Southeast Marqueta, Salinas East Marqueta, and Little Casitas. I told you guys, man, it was the fucking coffee, man. But anyways, yeah, mostly all of them went through the Corcoran shoe wars. Keep in mind that before they opened up the bay, Corcoran was where they were sending everybody. I heard stories about a few of them getting off and handling their business, but Corny, Skip, and another C named Sleepers, Victor Escobar from San Jose, and a few others had reputations for having hands. Matter of fact, one of the C's that got shot and died over there, Dodo from Oakland, was out there dropping fools, and that's why they killed him. Zab Zuda again. Goddamn, Zab, when you shoot questions, man, you shooting fucking a bunch of them motherfuckers, boy. So he wants to know, hey Box, can you make detailed videos when it comes to the NF areas of education, indoctrination, recruiting manpower, leadership, warfare, weaponry, hand-to-hand combat, street operations, goddamn, finances, setting up bank accounts that prevent law enforcement detection, self-fighting, communications, fitness and codes, and whatever else. Hey man, what's up, Zad? Are you starting a gang out there, man? An organization? I'm gonna just send you my DM, man, so you can holler at me directly, man, because I think you starting some kind of criminal organization out there, man. I'm fucking with you, man. Yeah, that's something that's already in motion. Most, if not all, the topics you touched on are going to be future areas of education Paradigm Media News plans on covering. So be looking for some of that stuff. Zabzuda, again, if the feds regain control of the state, what changes you'll think they made first, along with prioritizing why? That didn't make sense. Getting rid of the peace treaty, even though there are benefits to it, ending drug use, etc. Will the state generals still be part of the organization, or will they be hid? I'm gonna hold off on answering that last question, but look, read between the lines right here, man. It's not if they regain control, it's a matter of when they regain control. And what I can say about that is this: it's not gonna be that much longer from now. Just trust me on that. I'm willing to put all my credibility on the line, and that's how sure about it that I am. The situation that took place with Mateo and Baby Joker was just the beginning. The wheels are already turning right now, and it's just a matter of time before you see a full-on insurrection of the state branch at the direction of the federal branch. Chew on that for a minute, man. It is what it is wants to know in full. Did you ever meet DC from Chino, and what positions, captain, etc. did he hold, if any, before the generals went to the feds? Gracias. Yes, I met David DC Cervantes from Chino while we were both in Pelican Bay SHU. The first time I met him was sometime between 93 and 94 in the law library. At the time, I was housed in C5 and he was housed in C9. He was one of the 5 captains who were housed in C9. Leadership at the time was referred to as Cinco Nueve, because there were 5 captains that were all housed in 9 block. Garibay Masonry, Chino, California wants to know, what's up, Boxer? My dad was in a picture you posted of the old NF OGs. He was standing next to Death Row Joe. He told me it was taken in 72 in Tracy. Can you elaborate on that picture? He was a Chino center and was a captain for the NF up until 79. I believe he never talks about it much until recently. He started to open up a little. Dude is filled with a lot of game. He started doing time in the early 60s. CYA, graduated. Can you speak on your knowledge of Chino centers? God damn, man, I'm not that old, man. So as you can see, I put some pictures up here for you to check out, Garibay Masonry. Let me just say this, brother. I've posted a lot of pictures of DR and just some of the older pics from the 70s. I went through some of the hundreds that I have, and I just found a couple. Is it one of these 3 that are above? At any rate, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a lot of information about the Chino centers, other than there seem to have been a lot of them that were recruited into the NF back in the 60s. The only 2 colored pics above were both NF members from Chino centers that I personally met. The one wearing the red top is Vincent Big Chente Arroyo, who defected sometime around 1992, and David DC Cervantes, who is still active today and is a general for the state branch. DC and another NF member named Joseph Pinky Hernandez from Rancho Cucamonga are the last 2 C's from Southern California that remain active with the NF today. One is a general, Pinky's a general for the federal branch, and DC's a general for the state branch. Yeah, how ironic is that? They're both from Southern California and they're both calling shots. So David Daniel wants to know, what's good, bro? I admire the path you took and looking forward to read or hear your new book, but I wanted to know if you ever regret the choice to cooperate. Oh boy. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the positive compliments. Yeah, the book should be coming out hopefully sometime around August or September. I would have already finished it, but this YouTube stuff slows me down. Trying to manage both is just a crazy amount of work and time. I literally stand in front of my computer sometimes all day and all night without any sleep. As far as what you asked me, I can either give you the politically correct answer or the brutally honest answer. Keeping it real and being completely honest, of course I had some regrets about it. Why wouldn't I, man? I don't let it consume me and I don't beat myself up over it. But of course, I have regrets about it. I guess I'm conflicted. On one hand, I feel like I made the best choice considering what options were left for me and based on some of the betrayals that I was subjected to myself. And you know what, man? I'll just say this. People can be critical of it and yap all day about how they would have done things different, but I know better. It's all bullshit and it's just talk, man. Those ones who yap about it the most and who seem to be more critical are the ones to check out when it's them that's faced with the same type of adversity. They'll check out first. I've seen it. But then the other side of me, the alter ego boxer, feels like I sold out and completely dishonored myself. I mean, there's no way around it, man. There's no way to pretty it up or to justify it. It's bad business, and it's just something that I'll always feel strongly about. One thing's for sure. If honor is all about doing life in prison, and if that's what you need to do in order to prove to everyone else that you're honorable, then I definitely made the right choice, and I'll let some other idiot take those honors. So South Texas 713 wants to know, how did y'all go about verifying someone who claimed to be NF/NR member? Like if nobody on the yard knew the person. I mean, all you can really do is utilize all the resources you have to run checks. That's all you can really do. The NF and the NR usually maintain an elaborate network of channels and communications. A lot depends on our ability to communicate and acquire information, so this usually isn't an issue. This is why we keep everything documented and rostered to cross-reference. Then again, most, if not all, NR and NF members know the seriousness of misrepresentation. If someone misrepresents himself or his status, he knows that he's susceptible to being hit, and this is a deterrent in itself. But again, whether it's through the prison grapevine, our channels to different prisons and county jails, personal correspondences, or visitors who are used to facilitate and pass vital information, we usually have a network that's always on hand. So Cry P wants to know, for next Q&A, Boxer, were you at Pelican Bay during the big riot between Southsiders and blacks in 2000? If so, what was your and fellow NF members' thoughts on this riot? I mean, not a whole lot, man. They got off out there. Really didn't have no thoughts about it. That's on the real, man. I mean, what do you think when other people get off out there that you're not involved with? It's just like, I mean, they got off, they did their thing, man, and that's it. Yes, sir, I sure was, though. My book and the dates confirm this. However, I was in the shoe when this kicked off. I was on our little concrete yard when it started, and although I couldn't see nothing, I heard it. Later, I find out that 2 MA members that were in my block named Bat and Fox were the ones behind calling the green light. Don't trip though, I'll be running something on that real soon. So Stay Ready wants to know, on the next Q&A, can you break down how before El Norte law and the disbanding of the NR, that if you were just a regular northerner, you weren't obligated to do removals or commit yourself to that level, but how that changed afterwards and how every northerner is obligated now? Man, you don't like periods, huh? And also, is there such thing as like the Sureños have residents? Is there such thing nowadays as a resident northerner? Well, first thing, before I get into my response that I have typed up, man, I don't know about it being optional to participate in removals. That was kind of mandatory for anybody. If you were a norteño, you were kind of obligated to participate no matter what. That was something that was not debatable. As far as the other things, let me read my response. I just mentioned this recently, so I'll just give you the short version. I'm not aware of the NF adopting anything that would be interpreted as a resident northerner. That's the MS thing. El Norte Law, on the other hand, was an advisement that Gerald Cuete Rubalcaba put out, advising all the northerners that their level of expectation was basically being elevated. Prior to this advisement being filtered, it was optional for northerners to function on the streets, and there were certain liberties and freedoms that the NF had afforded them. Well, Cuete wiped all that out. under the premise that Northerners should be required to generate money, spill blood, function, and contribute to the same or to some of the other expectations that NF and NR members were required to perform themselves. There wasn't a collective consensus about this, as many of us knew that it would have had an adverse effect. You know what I'm saying? This was all Cuete's ideas. He also felt that since a lot of Northerners were profiting monetarily by cutting rap albums and using the Norte flag, the 14, and the color red, that this was even more of a reason. He said, they come into our establishments, we protect them, we look out for them, we indoctrinate them, and we embrace them. So therefore, they should be held to a higher standard. So Leon Loya wants to know, hey Boxer, I was wondering if you can elaborate more on your next Q&A about the 2 different yards for the Crips, for Taekwon Fee Cox and Tuki if possible. Thanks. Yeah, there was 2 different yards, and they were clearly split depending on who they were loyal to or depending on their affiliation. Fee had the smaller following, but they were strong. His yard used to go out on the same days as our yard, so I interacted with him when we were out there on the yard. However, Tuki was my neighbor, so I knew both of them and interacted with both of them at different times. I remember some of the Crips that were out there with them, if that's what you're looking for. But after Fee hit Tuki, these 2 were never the same. I don't know what else really to elaborate on unless you have a specific question. But other than that, this was how it was split in the adjustment center. The Bloods, I know all of them that were there too, used to go out to the same yard with the Crips in East Block. East Block was like Death Row's main line, and the adjustment center was Death Row's shoe or ADSEG. So Bay Area 5.7 wants to know, how was it that Frank Nitty de San Fran was able to get a pass from the people to do his own thing? Back in 2001, 2002, he was at Solano. That's when I was asked what's up with him and was just told he got a pass. Can you elaborate on that situation? I'm not sure about that one. It sounds kind of fishy though. Frank Nitty was my homeboy though. He's from my neighborhood. I know he stayed in Quinton for years on the main line until the homies eventually hit him. Why or what happened after that, I couldn't tell you. I honestly thought that once they hit him, he ended up somewhere on one of those S&Y yards. So Antonio Caston, I ain't even gonna try to pronounce that, man. I don't know what the fuck that says, but there's too many of you that laugh at my broken Spanish, so I'm not even gonna try it. So what's the deal with Bandit from SEM, Salinas East Market? How was he involved in Black Widow? The cat was being moved around and protected. Yeah, this was another fishy situation. I heard about how Bandit was getting shuffled around, but I can't say that I ever heard anything negative that he was doing that's concrete or that's worth even speaking on. It's also possible that the COs were moving him around like that to make it look like he was up to no good, but I can't call it. As far as how he was involved in the case, he just got wrapped up in the conspiracy part of it, bringing out kites and delivering them to where they were supposed to go. Ryan Todd wants to know, hey Boxer, I'm curious if you know anything about Mousy Sanchez or Tito Sedeno, also known as Gangsta Flea. I believe they are both from the Mission District. Yes, they are, man, and I've known many of you have continued to ask about both of these individuals, so I'm just going to read my little response and just move on. I've seen several people ask about these cats, and this is all I can say. They're both rappers. That's it. That's all. There's really nothing more extravagant about those 2 cats, man. I mean, they're from my hood and they rap. That's it. As far as my personal dealings with them, minimal at best. Mousy got in trouble sometime around 1999, 2000, and I saved him. One of my homies told me about a situation he got caught up in, and it sounded like a wobbler. Could have gone either way, so I elected to save him. That's pretty much it, though. I'm not sure how true it is, but I heard he got himself in trouble again. So Stelio Cantos wants to know, yo Boxer, how about an episode detailing your days as SJ Regiment Commander and your run-in with the Southsiders on Cadillac Drive? You know what? That's a good idea. I broke it down in my book, but it was a short version. I'm working on Crystal's homicide right now, but I'll put that one out there as soon as I'm done. That should be a good one though. Anyways, like I said, you guys keep the questions coming, man, and I'll keep doing these Q&As. Feel free to ask whatever you want within reason. And again, if you guys have any ideas about any stories that you want me to put out there, just go ahead and drop them in the comment section, and we'll do our best to get on them. And thank you for all of you that have looked out, man. All you that are helping us grow, that are helping this channel build, we appreciate it. Every little bit helps, man. So we appreciate all of you. Till next time, guys, keep those questions coming.